whistle all the while. If that's what it takes to make me smile, I'm gonna walk 100 miles.
Hi there, I'm Marley Major, and I have a celebrity-based event planning company in Los Angeles called The Party Goddess. And a few years ago, I wrote a business book to solve my own problems because I had many, and it's called But Are You Making Any Money? And that is why we are here today, because I want this video to share with you the top mistakes entrepreneurs make and how to fix them and how to avoid them, of course. Now, I want to make sure that you stay till the very end because I have a really cool little thing to share with you that I think you're going to want to stay for. And but you got to stay till the end. Now, you know the drill. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you like it, and definitely comment, because this is the place where you can comment, you can ask your questions, and then your peers can also jump in and help out and answer questions as well. So it's kind of this whole community-based thing. So without further ado, let's jump in. What are the top mistakes entrepreneurs all make? Okay, so when I said I wrote a business book to solve my own problems, here's the deal. So I have been in business for probably 27 years, and I got my business degree from Georgetown, so I'm not uneducated. I definitely have a great education. I was a business major, I was in the business school, yet I had a really difficult time putting into place what I needed to in my business to solve my own problems. So what problems did I have? Well, the same problems all of you have. How to get more customers, how to price, how to get more customers who are willing to pay you what you're worth, how to get paid in the first place. You know, what are some marketing ideas? How do you get clients? But you know, it's all about the quality of clients. So I'm going to start with my first tip, which is that if you want to get better clients and you want them to be better quality, what you've got to do is you have to pre-qualify them. Now, you might think to yourself, okay, listen, if I take out a Facebook ad or I take out a Google ad, isn't it amazing if I get all these views and all these likes? And no, it's not. Here's why. Because it is much better to get fewer responses of the right clients than it is to just get tons of garbage, right? So think of it like this, like a diamond in the rough. You'd rather have like one amazing gem than all kinds of garbage, like that's at a garage sale, for example. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you pre-qualify the client. How do you do that? First of all, you decide who you want your client to be, who's your target audience. And you do this in a number of ways, but you have to make sure, first of all, that the client can afford the services that you want to provide and that the client is willing to pay for the services you want to provide. So I'm in an area in Southern California that's wealthy, and you would think, oh, okay, so people can plan parties and they certainly have the money, right? But you have to make sure that they're willing to spend that kind of money on the service you provide. And they aren't necessarily going to, and there's not a lot you can do to change that. It's like pushing water uphill. So find the client initially who is desperate for your services and who is willing to pay for them. And you do that by clearly defining who your target client is in the first place. And I've written a ton of blogs about this, so you can check those out at theprofitgoddess.com. Now, the second thing that I see my coaching clients spend way too much time on, I just want to scream and be like, don't do it, is preparing proposals or bids for clients who are not going to be your client. Here's why I say that. Why is it so significant? Because all the time that you spend not focused, like you're over here focusing on all these people who are calling you and emailing you, and you're so busy, right? That's why the subtitle of my book is Stop Being Busy and Start Creating Cash. Who cares how busy you are? Who cares if the event planner or event designer down the street is working every single weekend? I don't want to work every single weekend. Do you? I mean, I do if I'm making $1 million a weekend. But what happens is we don't pre-qualify the client in the first place. Why? Because we don't know who our client really is. So you've got to start with that. But then, even in our gut, we know this client is not the right person for us. But what do? We spend all this time on the phone with them, or worse, this is a huge mistake. We spend all this time on the phone with them, but then what do? What if we meet them in person? This is the biggest time suck ever, is when you meet a client who's shouldn't even be your client in person, because you have wasted so much time and so much energy. And then what we do is we talk to them on the phone, let's say, and then we meet them in person in our offices, and we're all so proud, like, oh yeah, if I meet them in my office, I always close them. My response is, you close them into what? Into a project that they're just going to grind you on anyway, because they're not the right client in the first place. They don't value your time or what you do. And so then we spend all this time on a proposal, and proposals should not take very much time, by the way. Now, I am, as I mentioned, been in business for a very long time, and I've done proposals the way you guys all have, right? With Google Drive and Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel and Pages if you're a Mac person. And let me tell you, forget it. Let me tell you why you want to forget it. Because you are going to make mistakes, number one. Number two, you are going to spend way too much time on things. Number three, the part you're going to spend so much time on is going to be on like formatting and basically recreating the wheel, right? So now I am obsessed. I should own stock in the company. I don't. But I am obsessed with a product called HoneyBook. Now, here's how I use HoneyBook. HoneyBook is a software for creatives. I'll put the link in the notes section under this video. But here's why I love HoneyBook. And I was a little bit slow to drink the Kool-Aid. I was like, okay, well, how much better could this be than the way I'm doing it, or the way you've always done it, right? I can't tell you. Here's why you want to have some kind of proposal software. You must. I don't care which one you have. I think HoneyBook is the best. I've looked at all of them, but whatever. Because number one, you are going to create a format that is on brand, that you do not have to recreate the wheel every time. You are going to have all this repetitive stuff that you need in your proposal. You're going to make sure that it is all there once. You put it in once because you create these templates, right? So you create a template that's got your formatting, your fonts, your headers, your titles, so everything is nice and neat and consistent. And then you have your legal stuff in there, and then guess what? Here's the magic. Unless somebody's got some hack that I don't know about, there probably is some hack, to get contracts signed and actually get paid, forget it. Then what happens? We waste more time trying to track down the client to get the deposit, trying to track down the client to get the final payment, trying to track down blah, blah, blah. Well, if you use a proposal software, not only do you get the benefit of the templates, and not only is it on brand, and not only does it look a million times better than anything you're going to just spit out, like typing out on your Microsoft Word, you are going to actually be able to get paid, because you can click, sign, and pay. Then guess what? You can set it to auto pay. That's the magic. So you set your terms once in your proposal, and you say, okay, I'm making this up, but my deposit is 50% and it's due to book the project. And then the balance is due, let's say 7 or 10 working days before the project happens. Well, I don't know about you, but I get busy servicing my clients. I'm running around because remember, I'm still running the Party Goddess. So yes, I'm doing these videos as part of my Profit Goddess stuff to educate you and help you out so you don't make the same mistakes I did, but I'm still running my own business. So I still have all the same problems you do. So I send out a proposal. I wait for the client to get it signed. They have questions. It goes back and forth. Then guess what? Then the project is about to come up. And oh, by the way, I forget to get the final deposit, or my bookkeeper does. Forget it. You put it in the into the template. You tell it what your terms are. Client can put the credit card in, and then the credit card just gets auto charged, obviously assuming the client agrees. But another reason why we're spending too much time on proposals, and by the way, we're not getting the right information in there, and we're not getting the right information from the clients, is that we do not have the proper legal and contractual terms in there. And this is something I see all the time. You guys, spend some money on a lawyer. I can give you some great ones who will probably work with you virtually, who will tidy up your contract. Here's why. The longer you're in business and the more clients you have, unfortunately, you potentially are going to get sued, or you're going to have a client who doesn't want to pay you. And let's say that you want to take them to small claims court and you actually want to get paid for your service. Well, guess what? First thing the judge or who's ever involved is going to say is, show me the contract. What are the terms? And that needs to be buttoned up. And most importantly, you've got to have a cancellation clause in there. And I'll do another video on all the different components you need to have in your contracts. But that is definitely the second big tip, is that we're spending way too much time on our proposals in the first place. So find a software where you can load everything into a template, then just punch in the key details of your project, hit send, and get paid. I cannot tell you it has turned my life around in terms of getting the deposit quickly, in terms of making changes, in terms of sharing the proposal like across the board so you make sure everybody's looking at the same thing. Total game changer. So if you don't have a proposal software system, like get one like yesterday. Okay, next, not giving the client what they want, when they want, how they want it, okay? One of the things that we have done a lot of research on is we have talked to a lot of clients and we've said, hey, we've surveyed them and we've done secret surveys, and over these days in this digital world, the client wants things fast. They want it like spelled out, because remember, they have no attention span, just like you and I don't have an attention span, right? They want to be able to say, whether it's planning a party or hiring a staging person or home design, they want to be able, hi, here's what I need. You'll say, what's your budget? They'll say, I don't know. I'm going to do a video on just how to get the budget out of the client. And then you've got to proceed down the line, right? Well, we have to make sure that we give the client what they want when they want it. If the client says, listen, I've got to have this turned around by tomorrow, well, A, you better have a proposal software in place so that you can do that. And B, you need to be able to make sure that it's a client that you actually want, who's going to be paying you enough so that you can drop everything and create that proposal, right? So the other thing that clients want is they want to know, of course, every client, by the way, I don't care if it's my celebrity clients or my billionaire clients. Yes, I have some. Nobody wants to waste money, okay? So what people will do is, the reason they don't want to give you the budget is because they want to say, listen, they're worried you're going to spend that whole budget. So, okay, that makes sense. So often what I do is with proposals is I'll say to the client, how do you want this to go? Do you want me to give you the price of everything you've asked me to give you? Or do you want me to give you the best case scenario I think of what can fit in your budget? Usually the client will say, give me whatever I need to price out whatever I've given you. Now, if they don't, you can of course do it two ways. You can say, okay, the client says they have a $5,000 budget, and you can say, great, you wanted a zoo and you wanted entertainers and you wanted food for $1,000. Great, for $5,000, we can do Taco Bell or whatever it would be. So you can give them a proposal based on what will fit within that budget, and then you can give them a proposal based on, okay, you requested this, and this, and give everything as a line item, because if you give everything as a line item, then they can cut and paste. And here's another secret trick. This is huge, okay? This is why you're benefited from staying this long, is always say to the client, how can I get you to sign this contract? Like basically, if you normally take a 50% deposit and the client is going back and forth and they're saying, hey, I don't know what 50% is going to be. I don't know what I want you to do yet. Just get retained. So say to the client, hey, listen, instead of the 50%, for right now, just get like a $500 deposit or whatever would make sense for your product or service. But just get something, and you can do that if you've got the proposal software, okay, ready to go. Now, the next thing I see is being too slow to follow up. This is sort of related to give the client what they want when they want it, but there are a ton of resources out there, and I will put them in the notes section as well, or the comments, One of them is called Ruby Receptionists. We use Ruby, and how we use Ruby is that we have a client intake form on our website. Now, I did another video on that about the key things that have to be on your website. So make sure you've got those, because I love that everybody's like, oh yeah, okay, I've already got that covered. I know you don't, because like literally every private coaching call I'm on, I don't think I've found one person who had everything on there that I mentioned. And these are very basic things. So check out that video. But in the intake process, a client wants to be able to complete a form like quickly in the middle of the night, wherever they are, whatever time zone, send it in and have somebody get back to them right away. And you might say, well, my gosh, there's only one of me. Like I don't have assistants. I don't have help. Okay, well, here's a great way that you can get help. You can get help through freelancers, of course. You can get help through places like TaskRabbit or Fancy Hands. I love. But Ruby Receptionists, basically, when the client fills out our form, the form goes to, obviously, into our database, but a copy goes to me, but it also goes to Ruby Receptionist. And Ruby calls back the client immediately, because remember, they're working not 24 hours a day, it seems like they are, but like 8 a.m. to, let's say, to 6 p.m. Pacific. So what happens is the Ruby gets the client information, and then we've pre-created a script for them that says, hey, the client put this on the form, this on the form, and this on the form. Based on that, can you please respond and ask them all these different questions? And then what happens is you can just tee up Ruby. If they call and leave a message, nobody's there, and Ruby will say, hey, it was a pleasure. I called this person back, and oh, they weren't there. So then you just respond back and say, great, could you call them again in 3 hours? Or could you call them? You can put a lot of these things on Autoresponder if you want, because then that really frees up more time. So the big thing is get the client what they want when they want it and get it to them quickly. You've got to follow up quickly. The other thing is, it used to be that you could follow up a few times and then the client would respond and you'd be set. Don't be surprised if it takes 9 or 10 or even 13 times to follow up before you get a client to call you back and you can close the deal. So you're not alone. Nothing's wrong with you. It just means that everybody's really busy and we have to just stay on it and follow up more. Okay. One of the last points that I'm going to cover is this whole website thing. Now, as I say, I did an entire video on that, on the key things that you've got to have on your website. But when you're trying to attract a higher level of client, a quality client, a client who's going to pay you what you're worth, you have to make sure that your website matches what you want to charge, right? So if you go to a website like the Ritz-Carlton, or you go to the Four Seasons website, those hotel chains are charging a premium, right? But everything matches that premium. Everything is in line with that premium that they're charging. So if they're charging $500 a night for a room, everything is aligned. You go into the room and the soap is great quality and the towels are great quality and the service it's a different level. You know, you call downstairs and you say, hey, listen, can you book this XYZ for me? And they'll be like, it's my pleasure. Everything is in line. And so that's what you have to make sure, is that your website is in line with the prices that you're charging. Because if you say, okay, I can't get a higher level of client, well, remember, the client doesn't know you. They don't know how fabulous you are at what you do. So the client is going to cyber stalk you basically, right? Not really. But they're going to go to your website. They're going to check out your past work. They're going to check out your testimonials. If you don't have testimonials on your website, that third-party endorsement, huge, you must. And you want to make sure that you tell the client exactly what you want them to do, like click here to get a quote or do this, and then make sure that you follow up quickly, okay? But you've got to have it be so that if somebody who didn't know you, didn't know how fabulous you were, just Googled and found whatever product or service you sell, are they going to go there and say, wow, this is like a luxury quality product or service, or maybe not luxury, but high end? And does the service match? Do you follow up appropriately? Do you speak appropriately? Do you have typos in your proposal? Do you have typos on your website? That happens all the time. So those are some key things that we all need just a really good reminder for. Now, a few things. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. The buttons are all there below this video. And the other thing is I promised you something fun. So one of the things that entrepreneurs do, one of the mistakes they make is that, of course, they don't pre-qualify the clients and, we spend too much time on proposals. Well, what does that relate to? That relates to productivity. So I promised you something fun. And what's fun is if you text quiz to the number on your screen, you will get to take a productivity quiz, which is super fun. And it'll tell you which cocktail or mocktail, you don't drink, you are. And why is that important? Because by taking the quiz and seeing where your productivity currently is, the cool part about the quiz is you get your results instantly. And then of course you can compare yourself to your friends, which is kind of fun. You can share your results on Facebook and on Twitter. But then you can see where you are, like what's your longitude and latitude, where do you need help with your productivity? So then we can start fixing it, okay? Because you might not need help in every aspect of being more productive or being more efficient, but it's all about tweaking it. So I will put the resources in the comment section. Please remember to subscribe, so important, so we can keep all this magic going. And text for the quiz, it's fun. And let me know what you got, put it in the comments. Okay, thanks, have a great day, bye.
Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, if you would please like this video, leave a comment if you're so inclined, but definitely subscribe to the channel so you can get more tips like this. Thanks.